big stage. How are you? Okay, let's start improving WordPress Multisite and talking about it first. So, let me take you back to 2010. WordPress 3.0 had just been released, and it was called Thelonious, after the jazz pianist Thelonious Monk, the person you can see in the photo. And that was the version, the release that introduced multi-site. And for me, multi-site sounded almost magical, like one WordPress install and many sites, all of them share the same code. At the time, I had just personal projects, but I was fascinated by the idea that I could keep everything in one installation, and instead of maintaining a lot of separate ones, I could just have them and maintaining them together in one installation. And what I found also interesting was the idea of connecting contents, because in that time I was also interested into multilingual solutions. And for me, multi-site sounded like the solution for that. And at the beginning, it was like seeing the first time the interface of multi-site. It was like, yeah, it still isn't very user-friendly. And it got me, I had some evening where I tried to find out how that all worked. And sometimes, it was frustrating. But at the end, I got curious and I dived into the core and I tried to find out how that all works. And later on, I started writing plugins and patches and gave back to that project. And today, I think I'm still fascinated by multi-site, but I think it's time that we do something to make it better. So, I said, okay, we have one install and many sites. So these sites, they can share their themes and plugins and even users. So they have a centralized network admin, and you can update WordPress once, and then every site in that network gets the update. And that saves obviously a lot of time and effort. And if you are running a higher number of websites, hundreds of websites, maybe you get the idea what you can save in time and money. And it is also very flexible. There's a flexible setup for subdomains and subdirectories. And you can even have your domains customized on it. So maybe first we should talk about multi-site. Is it a unique feature of WordPress? And turns out that other CMSs, they have their own multi-site solution, like Drupal. Drupal has a multi-site feature in it. You can have multiple websites in it, and they have always a separate database. So that is a bit different from the WordPress solution, but it might be good for security, but you have less flexibility, like in WordPress. In Joomla, you don't have a multi-site feature in core. You have to use an extension for that. Most of them are paid extensions, and they copy a bit the idea of maintaining a multi-site. So and then you have software as a service platforms. These are Shopify Plus and Wix and Squarespace. Often they have a maintenance or managed feature that where you can manage your websites together in one dashboard, but at the end, they run as separate installations, so that's not really multi-site. And I think WordPress stands a bit out here because it is very flexible and it is open source, and it's endlessly extensible. And moving on, we have different types of multisites. So subdomains, and that's on like site1.example.com. And this is often common for schools, universities. Sites, they have to be under an umbrella, and they have to stay together like that. And then you have a subdirectory set up that feels more like one website. But these subdirectories, they are separate websites. So that is, for example, for multilingual websites, a very good use case. And then you can map over these installations. You can map custom domains over it, brand A.com, brand B.com. That's mostly for subdomain installs. And each of these approaches, they have pros and cons. But it depends on the technical needs and what the client wants at the end. And often even that fits not in categories like clients think. We know that. Come later to that thing again, and you'll see that it's not a deal breaker, but becomes interesting. When you find out that multisite is the right solution for you, then it might be that starting with it is not so simple, because if you are a normal user using your hosting, you make a setup, if you can do that on your hosting, and you have to configure your files, maybe setting up server rules, domains. They are not easy to set up. Your hosting has at least to support you there. And also having SSL certificates and for multiple domains might not be easy in that case. And when you are there at the end, then you're still with roles. They are confusing maybe, they are different. And it is not what the client might expect at the beginning. They are not real deal breakers, but that's friction that we have here. And somebody used to a multi-site might feel overwhelmed by that. So when you set up a multi-site, one thing is you have to understand that it changes the database. And in a regular website, you have these WP posts and WP users and so on. In a multi-site, you have still these tables for every website, but you have also shared tables and tables that are modified by the installation itself. So shared tables like WP users and WP user meta, they hold information across the whole network, and that's why you can log into every site in the network. And each website gets its own prefix, and then they go on with these tables, like WP2 posts and WP3 posts and stuff like that. So in that case, you have the benefit that you can run many websites. They share one install. Their content is independent. The trade-off is sometimes the database grows quickly, and cross queries, they get complicated, and that's why it's knowing more about the structure, so you can think about migrations and performance fixes and how plugins operate in such a network. Especially interesting is the WP blocks, and one of the key ones, or the key column here is block ID. That's the unique ID for each site. Before WordPress 3.0, sites were called blocks. That's why it's still block ID. And the other column, which is interesting, is site ID. That's in reality the network ID. If you run just one network, then that's always one. But we will see that even that field matters. And the rest is like domain and path, what you defined, and some flags like public, archived, spam, and deleted. And there still is a lang ID that is not really useful anymore because that is like a relic. And yeah, every time when you add a new website, you can see that in that table. It will just be one row in that table. So, as I said, well, we think in terms of subdomains and subfolders and domain names, and clients don't. They have other ideas. In real world, they need just usually a mix of it, like business logic, marketing goals, and the structure in their organization. You have often the situation that they ask for domain mapping with subdirectories, which would be normally quite complicated to set up. But from a client's perspective, it's perfectly reasonable, and why shouldn't WordPress be able to do something like that? And yeah, that's our challenge to make that happen. And that brings us to the concept of multi-networks. You see here a QR code. I placed some QR codes in the slides, in the upcoming slides. They bring you to the project itself, so you can at least maybe favorite the link, or later on when you get the slides, make that later on. So WordPress Multisite gives you one network, and a plugin like WP Multi-Networks can handle more than one network. And that is an interesting use case because you can have global brands, multiple brands, can them have together in one installation with different networks. And the advantage would be they still share the same code base, but they are more separated because they can run their own set of plugins activated and in the global in the network, and share themes they use for that specific brand. And there are limitations, of course. It is not part of the core, as I said, and you need a plugin to make that happen. And the interface is still not really at best, so there's still some work to do, but I think it's still an interesting plugin to make a multi-network possible. So, the local multi-site, that seems often a hard thing to do for developers, and it shouldn't be so hard. There are projects like WP-Env. They should reduce friction here, and if you install that package, you get a Docker-based installation of WordPress. You can spin up that in minutes. And later on, if you reuse it, starting it in seconds. And it is also very team-friendly. You can set up a .wp-env JSON file to configure that. And crucial for this talk here is you can just set multi-site true, and then you have your multi-site set up. And I find that quite cool. And also because it's not just the installation of WordPress itself with a database, you get also WordPress command line interface, you get Composer, you get PHP unit, and even Xdebug if you want to debug your installation. You have a much faster onboarding for new team members, and yeah, also that works on my machine moments. That's yeah, in the past then. And yeah, you can trust the stack like that. It might be not really for very complicated setups, might be not the best solution. You can do something like DDEV, but I think for a simple setup, building a plugin, that's a great choice. So when we talk about managing WordPress multi-sites, we have also to talk about WordPress command line interface. And it is really powerful. And if you just look up the WP site command, you can see that you can create, delete, update sites, list sites. And you can do a lot of things and even chain them together to make tasks they normally would take hours. You can do that in minutes with things like that. And you can even export your files or your site table, export it as CVS for audits or something like that. And also creating websites like, yeah, it takes seconds and then you create websites. Normally, if you go to the network admin, that's it's another story. It's more complicated than doing running just a command. And yeah, if you manage more than a dozen or 100 websites, then that's really a deal. That's saving you a lot of time. So when you think about, because I said that with the WordPress command line interface, if you go to the network admin, you see a huge gap here because that thing is powerful, but it feels really fragmented and inconsistent. If you think about like the workflow you have for activating a theme, I used here BPMN as a for the diagram, but you can probably understand that you have all you have in a network admin. You can go to a site and just enable a theme, but you have still to go in the website and then to activate that theme. Or you can go in a edit site screen, can do the same thing here, and then later on activate it again. And that feels like, why should I do something like that? It feels just not right. It's like a thing we can probably optimize. And there are also things like bulk operations are not possible because of workflows like that. And also getting informations later on, like did I activate it, or how to find out where that thing is enabled and not. That's, yeah, it's not a deal breaker for experienced admin, but yeah, for somebody new to multisite, it feels at least cumbersome and increases mistakes and things like that. So, because we have these challenges in the multisite, and I just said probably also the visibility of things there, that's not clear what we have in multisite. Here, for example, you see a screen in the network admin, and it looks like there's no plugin active. Yeah. If you go on one website, you see there is a plugin active. So why is that? No. And these informations, they are just not there. And yeah, it is at least misleading, or yeah, hunting for information needs much more time than really taking action here. So we could try to make plugins and theme more visible, and just adding the information here, like having at least the information for the network admin that a plugin is active. And you could also probably do that for themes, saying, okay, for a website, a theme is active on the website. We have at least just the information if a theme is used somewhere, which is already a thing here. And you can have faster decisions and you have safer actions if you have information like that. And yeah, reducing the guesswork at the end. So we can also improve the user management probably, because right now what we see is we see super admin and the other roles that we have. The same user can have different roles across the sites. You have not really a bulk assignment or bulk remove. You cannot see cross-site which roles a user have. And taking action here is like, it's really slow and error-prone. And we should probably have something more in a single screen that really gives us the possibility to have bulk on actions and audit tools. So you can see here that a user can be visible for the network admin as before. And when you go into the website, you see that the user maybe is just an editor. And that's also surprising sometimes in a multi-site. And going to that, or from there, is we just want to also a simpler onboarding experience for when we create websites. When we do that right now, we go to the network admin, then we click on the add site, then we fill in the information we need, and then we go to the new website, to the dashboard, we configure everything, set it up, and we adjust settings. And when we do that once, then it might be okay. If you do it 10 times, it might be cumbersome, and yeah, you can make a lot of errors during the way. I think we could start with having something like in WordPress command line interface, where you have maybe a template, or where you can set up something like a script that would do just that. You go to to the network admin, say add site, use a template, and then the action is done. So you would have the alternative like doing it like before, but maybe we can add something like having a template for that. So having all that said, is for sure we can add and add and add things, but also that feels not 100% right. It's like we have a lot of information in our database, the data is already there, and what we need is we need better views for our data, or we need to aggregate data, and then we need something that could visualize what we want to do. And there's a React component, data views, which has also data form in it. And that thing is very promising, and it's probably a safe bet for the overhaul of the admin and WordPress. So, because you already see it somewhere, like in the site editor. And using that for the multi-site, that would be also a really cool addition. And obviously also the chance that we start modeling data and aggregate data the right way, and not just have a opinionated dashboard and adding information because we need it. We could start with a plugin usage table, user role overview, and all that. We can have the actions inline in these tables. And yeah, it could really be a powerful and approachable solution. And we started to experiment a bit with various solutions. That's why You saw on some screens things like the visibility of a plugin in a network admin. Yeah, we made that happen, and it's interesting. And these are interesting use cases. They are things we can discuss, and probably somebody would say, okay, I need that, it's really cool, no, I will have that. But we can maybe experiment a bit more. We can even build something like that would already use data views and data form and show a network admin that would be like, yeah, ready for the future and not feel like something that was born 15 years ago. And that thing, the plugin here, is a good way, like, because we want to experiment, is really to come there. That's a GitHub repository here in the QR code, brings you there. And we can start discussing about what we really want to change, because that is also something we really need. It's, normally you have a core developer, they will probably make some changes to WordPress because they think that's right. That's the right way to make that change. But if you as user come and say, okay, we just tried it out, and it seems we have to do something else for having a better network admin, then probably let's do that. And they have finally the information what the user really wants. So, and having a plugin and then later on bring something into core, there are different things. So we should then talk about what do we want to have in core, like a stable, performant, and secure solution should be also accessible. And you have then these workflows we saw, and sites, user, plugins, and themes. And we can fix these gaps of the roles and the visibility of the roles. And maybe in plugins, we leave these custom workflows or integrations for opinionated UIs, and have maybe just a rule like essential in core and a specific in plugin. And yeah, the goal would be like having something really lean, but being open for flexible plugins. And yeah, how can you be involved? How can you start? How can you contribute? Obviously, if you can code, go to the track. The link here is there. You can just start and discuss with us. But even if you're not a coder, there should be something we can do for giving you the possibility to test functionalities. That is what we do with the Multisite plugin, maybe. But it should be also possible in track to discuss with developers, give feedback, and just join conversation, asking questions, demanding things. And yeah, that brings me almost to the end. So, but I don't want to leave you like so without starting a demo. A quick one, just to show you what I mean when I talk about data views and data form. So I just did what I said earlier. I used the WP-Env, started my installation. You can see I have here a WordPress installation. You can log into that thing. It has like a lot of tools in WordPress, the fantastic combination of admin and password. Okay, it's not very secure. But for local development, it's absolutely okay. And I already activated that plugin, Multisite. And you can see here is another plugin that shows up because it is active in a subsite. We experimented a bit with things like I can probably deactivate it in another website. That's interesting, maybe. I can also see if I go to sites, I can finally see that I have active themes here. So, but as I said, that's the thing, like, we add just information. We add it, and it still remains opinionated, and maybe it's not even performant. A really cool thing is, as I said, data views. And that here is running with some REST API endpoints. Surprise is that there is no REST API point for networks right now, so we implemented one. And you get then right off the box, right out of the box, you get the that view here, and it's already doing a lot. It just gets information from the websites and already runs like you can search. It will just do that. You can already sort. You can even say you want to show like hidden information. You can have some new view of your tables. And yeah, that's really a nice thing without doing a lot of work. That's just a REST API endpoint, one component, and just mount with the data. And you have up and running something that shows how the future of the admin could look like without these old WP list tables. They served for a lot of time, was good, but I think the admin is looks a bit outdated. And with something like that, that is part of the Gutenberg project, I think we are on the right track to implement something that is really helping us and not limiting us as it is right now. So that brings me back to the end of my presentation. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. If you have questions, I'm open for questions. We still have 10 minutes.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for all of this. Really interesting, and like a lot of things to think about. And I think multi-site is a feature we use all the time, and one that hasn't gotten the love that some other core components of WordPress have. So I have a question about another way in which multi-site might be improved, and that's a use case around large multi-sites with many, many sub-sites. So where I work, we have the experience sometimes of ambitious customers filling up their multi-sites, right? They may have thousands of sub-sites in there, and it becomes a source of frustration in all kinds of ways that I'm sure you understand. Local development breaks, syncing of different kinds of breaks, backups can break. And it's all a function of the size, the physical size of the database that results. So we've been curious about things like, how do you shard a multi-site over a bunch of different back-end databases, things like that, which obviously are problems that WordPress.com and other places like that have solved that are not core to multi-site. So can you, have you thought about that problem at all? How do you think about sites that get, multi-sites that get too full?
The question is, I thank you for the question because the question is really nice. I stumbled over a function recently called WP is large network. And I found out that a large network for WordPress is over 10,000 websites. So it's surprising if you try to run a website on a normal hosting with 10,000 websites. Yeah, how long would you wait for seeing your page rendering at the end? I guess it might be something like minutes or so. And I guess for really large websites, the thing is you could use React components probably because you have to create also some workflows, finding out information like finding where's my plugin active, and because you cannot just print in the page the information and say, okay, I have 10,000 websites, I have a plugin active, and then later on I go and I click them away or something. That makes no sense, no? And I guess also bigger hostings could help here, like when they have experience like WordPress.com, I guess they run millions of websites. I don't know how big their containers are, but I imagine they have these numbers, like 10,000 and more. If we can have a discussion and if it can be an open discussion, talking about things like that, it would be really cool because that is a feature which, in my opinion, it's not just for bigger agencies, but it's in general. It's like, it's multi-site and performance. That should be first thing to think about. And yeah, that's my take on it. Like, thank you. No question? Okay.
Do you have we got another question? Yeah, go right ahead.
Hi, great presentation. I was thinking about how in IT, you could have a computer network visualized with all the nodes and then check the status and do different searches. If something like the kind of multi-site growing it, like you're talking about, the complexity, there could be that kind of visual interface added on top within WordPress.
Yeah, I think that probably that was also the idea that drove me here, like that we think about the interfaces. Yeah. Right now we have just we have WordPress using tables for visualizing our information. At the end, probably should bring in these use cases and make them. Probably information is missing for developers, no? If they don't know that we need certain setups and information, they will not take action here, and that's probably what's missing and what might be a good thing to contribute to, like opening discussion, opening your request, even a track. You can start there, as we did yesterday in a contributor day. We just opened a feature request and saying, okay, let's elaborate on that and start a discussion here. Maybe you should do that and describe your use case. Thank you.
I have a question for you, Dennis. Oh. So just sneaking in from the side here. So we do have a few more minutes, so if you think of something, please jump at the mic. The really short one is cool. Very general question. So you gave some examples of good use cases for multi-site in government, education, multilingual. What's one of the most creative or unique applications of multi-site that you've come across?
There are also news websites, and they have maybe their shared news into one container. I find that also very interesting because at the end it's like even multilingual websites, they are connected contents. So that's maybe even the open verse could be an interesting use case here. And yeah. Awesome.
Now, I love the ideas that you're bringing to the table for how multi-site could be improved within the admin experience. I understand there's been a while, but a group working on updates to the WordPress admin as a whole. Is there any overlap with this work and that work, or how do those types of projects work together?
I guess that Core in general is interested also in that part, but probably when we work on that, the admin interfaces, they still remain like they are. Nobody will touch them. And if you look into the code, you'll see they have their age. And as I said, it's time to start and do something here.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for sharing your ideas and perspectives. Wonderful presentation. Let's give it up for Dennis.
Thank you.